Good evening to everybody, to the students of the International Human Rights Law. Karibu sana, welcome to the class. And today that I am going to deal the promotion and production of the human rights. And first and foremost, I would like to see whether you are hearing me or not. Please unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Anyone can unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Quick. Okay, there is a problem, it seems. Okay, already. International human rights versus international relationship, and we did it round about yesterday class also. And now let us see the next, the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. Yes, we yesterday that we dealt the history and its aims and articles 1 to 30. The main one it is dealt in yesterday class, a video too. But in this class that without wasting the time, let me pounce on the, because we have the in our syllabus 2.2 United Nations Human Rights Protection System, 2.3 United Nations Human Rights Promotion System. These are two things are there. So without wasting the point, let me come to the points of these. How promoting and protecting the human rights in the UN system. Let me again, we'll read it, and it is nothing but a revision. And last time also I dealt it in a deliberate manner and a lengthy manner, and we will see it now in the nutshell how it can work, the UN system in promoting the protection of protecting the human rights. Okay, that the United Nations, within parentheses, UN system has two main types of the bodies to promote and protect human rights. What are the two main bodies? Number one, charter bodies, and number two, treaty bodies. These are two bodies are there to promote and protect the human rights by the UN system. UN system has. Okay, let us see the charter bodies. Charter bodies are established under the UN Charter in order to fulfill the UN's general purpose of promoting the human rights. Yes, it says that charter bodies are established under the UN Charter, okay, in order to fulfill the UN's general purpose of promoting the human rights. So it is created with the UN Charter, hence we can say charter bodies. For what purpose? General purpose of the promoting the human rights. They have broad mandate that covers the promoting the human rights in all UN member states. So they have broadly mandates who are the member states of the UN, and for them, for the protection, promotion of the human rights, it will work over there. Now let us see the Human Rights Council. What does the council do? The principal UN charter body responsible for the human rights in the Human Rights Council. So the principal UN charter body, if they are responsible for the human rights, is the Human Rights Council. They are answerable to the Human Rights Council, and we can set as within parentheses HRC, and it is the initialism. The General Assembly established the HRC in 2006 in the hope that it will be more efficient and effective than its predecessor, the Human Rights Commission. So earlier there the Human Rights Commission is there, now the Human Rights Council is there. 47 UN member states sit on the HRC. Of course, they say 47 members are states in sit on the HRC. There is the Human Rights Council. One of its main purpose is to, what is the main purpose of the HRC? And the main purpose of the HRC is to review the human rights, okay, and record of every UN members. Number one, review. Number two, record of the every UN member state. Once every 4 years, they have to record it and to make recommendation for improvement. Yes, they will make the recommendation for the improvement also. In 2017, Australia was elected as a member of the Human Rights Council from 2018 to 2020. So it is, of course, 2 years back data this is. So one of the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for the Human Rights, where it is situated, let us see that. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, OHCHR, that is the initialism, that is one of the type of the abbreviation is the initialism. A department of the United Nations Secretariat, of course, he has given here the URL HTTP, was established following the World Conference on Human Rights in 1993. So the World Human Rights Conference of Human Rights in 1993 is established as the United Nations Secretariat. Its role is to prevent human rights violations, whose rights, of course, United Nations High Commissioner for the Human Rights, Department of the United Nations Secretariat, and it is established this in the World Conference of the Human Rights in 1993. And this commission would have to protect the human rights violation and secure respect for human rights by promoting the international cooperation for the member states and coordinating the United Nations human rights activities. Even the United Nations, either special agencies or the bodies, they have to coordinate in it. The OHCHR conducts a very broad range of the activities from its headquarters in Geneva. So OHCHR is headquartered in Geneva. Where is Geneva? If I not be mistaken, it is in Switzerland. It also works directly in areas where there are severe human rights violations through field offices and as a part of the UN peace mission. So it also works directly in areas where there are severe human violations through field offices and as per the UN peace missions. Now let us see treaty bodies. Just now you have seen the charter bodies. Now we'll concentrate on the treaty bodies, how the treaty bodies will work. The treaty bodies have responsibility for the monitoring and promoting the compliance with a particular human rights treaty. So the treaty bodies, they will say the monitor and promoting the compliance with a particular human rights treaty. As such, they are only concerned with the countries that are a party to the treaty. The country, those who are party to the treaty, they will be considered over there, and for that, those countries and the bodies will protect and promote the human rights violations. A number of the human rights treaties have established treaty monitoring bodies to supervise the implementation of the treaty obligation by the state parties. Those who are the member of the treaty, of course, they are supposed to follow and implement the treaty obligations by the members of the state of the treaty. So the small bullet, the Committee on the Elimination of the Racial Discrimination monitors state parties' compliance with the ICERD. That is the role of it to see how the elimination of the racial discrimination would be there and how it can work. It will work on it. Small bullet 2, the Human Rights Committee monitors state parties' compliance with the ICCPR. Yes, they will see that whether they are following the ICCPR norms also not. This Human Rights Committee will take care of it. The Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights monitors state parties' compliance with the ICESCR. Yes, it also see that whether they follow the ICESCR or not, and it will look after it. The Committee Against the Torture monitor the state parties' compliance with the CAT and CAT. They will see that whether they are following it or not, the CAT. The Committee on the Migrant Workers and monitor the state party compliance with the international conventions on the protection of the rights of the migrated workers and their families. It will also say the state party compliance with the international conventions on the protection of the rights migrant workers and their families, how they are making, and they will monitor it. The Committee on the Elimination of the Discrimination Against the Women monitors the state parties compliance with the CEDAW. Yes, it will take care of it to see CEDAW, that is the Committee on the Elimination of the Discrimination Against the Women monitors. Okay. The Committee on the Rights of the Child, CRC, we can say, monitor the state party compliance with the CRC. So the committees are there, each committee will monitor how it can take care of and whether they are violating the human rights or not, they will monitor it. So the treaty bodies consider the report from the state parties on their compliance with the treaty, and some treaty bodies can receive the individual complaints of the treaty body violations. Even the individual complaints are also be noted down by the treaty bodies where there is a violation. Then the reporting obligations and monitoring. They're all about the thing the committee will monitor it. Now let us see the reporting obligations and monitoring. I believe that you could see my screen. Is it or not? Say yes. Okay. Reporting obligations and monitoring, how it can be made it. Treaty bodies consider the periodic reports from state bodies about the measures they have adapted to carry out their obligations under each treaty. So the treaty bodies will say the periodic reports from the states. They will take it about the measures that they have adapted, carry out the obligations under the treaty. Under the treaty, whatever the obligation will be there, which will be carried out, the treaty bodies will take it granted. When the treaty bodies assess reports from the state parties, they may also consider the information contained in the shadows report. And a shadow report are those submitted to the treaty bodies by the NGOs and the national human rights institutions rather than the government. So the treaty bodies, they will look at, assess the report from the state parties, those who are the parties to the treaty. They may also consider the information contained in the shadow reports. Whatever the reports is published by the treaty bodies and sent to the Human Rights Commission. And the shadow reports are those submitted to the treaty bodies by the NGOs. Of course, NGOs also work over there to submit the reports, and the national human rights institutions also will take care of it for the shadow reports, and they will see that how it can be, whether it is a genuine or not, they can consider it. After considering the report, treaty bodies make a recommendation, often called concluding comments or recommendation. The treaty bodies will make it out based on the reports which you have just seen. Whatever the recommendation will be there, they will make it out. About the how state party can improve in its compliance with its treaty obligations. When the treaty obligation would be there, whether there is any lacunae is there or not, to see it and how it can be improved to protect and prevent the human rights violations. Yes, Sakina, could you read the individual complaints? This one. Is it visible to you?
Yes, Prof.
Can you read it, individual complaints?
Yes. Some treat bodies have additional powers to receive and consider complaints from individuals who allege that they are victims of human rights violation by the states. The bodies with power to hear the individual complaints are Human Rights Committee, the Committee on Elimination of Racial Discriminations, the Committee Against Torture, the Committee on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women.
So the individual complaints and also the treaty bodies will entertain it. The bodies with the power to hear what are the complaints against, the complaints of the Human Rights Committee, the Committee on the Elimination of the Racial Discrimination, the Committee Against the Torture, the Committee on the Elimination of the Discrimination Against the Women. So they will hear from the individual also. A finding of the treaty body that a state party has violated a person's human rights under the treaty is not legally binding. I repeat, a finding of the treaty body, okay, if they make it out, what are the finding would be there? That state party has violated a person's human rights, and the treaty is not legally binding. So now the treaty is again, the question comes, whether they are binding or not. Because if there is no binding, there is no meaning of a treaty. But there is no mechanism is there, enforcing mechanism, and where they fail mostly. There is a reason we can say international law is a weak law. Or we can say international law is a soft law. Because there is no international policy is there, either from the treaty or for the charter. But charter made such an efforts to see the sanctions will be made if any state party to the charter make a violation of it. The other states will definitely force the state to comply the charter articles. If the state will not comply the charter article, all the states will report to the United Security Council. Then the Security Council comes to the rescue and see that something should be done to the state which violated such a charter norms. So now individuals can only make complaints to treaty bodies if they have exhausted all domestic remedies. So before you are making the treaty bodies complaints, first and foremost, you have to file a case in the municipal courts, either district courts having the jurisdiction or the high court. From the high court, the apex court of the country. When you exhaust all the remedies, at that instance, you can make a complaint to the treaty bodies. That is the same thing which is made it here. Individuals can only make the complaints to treaty bodies if they have exhausted all the domestic remedies. the domestic remedy should be exhausted, and if the relevant state party has recognized the competence of the treaty body to hear their complaints. Again, the relevant state party should have to see whether the individual made such a complaint, whether it is a cognizable, acceptable, and whether there is a competency to treat that complaint or not, they will check the state bodies. By ratifying the ICERD and the CAT and the first optional protocol of the ICCPR, Australia has recognized the competence of the Committee on the Elimination of the Racial Discrimination and the Committee Against the Torture and Human Rights Committee to hear the individual complaints about the violations of the relevant treaty provisions. Of course, when Australia has become a party to each council, then they have also make such a report to see that what are the discrimination would be there and what are the torture and the human rights committee and hear the individual complaints about the violation of the relevant treaty provisions. Now let us see the United Nations is currently considering the proposal. The matter of the United Nations is currently they are considering the proposal to reform the treaty bodies and make a reporting obligation easier for the states. The UN interference also there to see how the bodies are treaty bodies are working over there, and the reporting obligation easier for the states, and by establishing a singly unified treaty body to monitor the implementation of the all the principal human treaties. Instead of having the bundle of treaties, they want to unify it to unified treaty body, make it a one treaty to see that to monitor the implementation of all the principal human rights treaties. When all the human rights different treaties, instead of that one, let you make it the one treaties and the UN make a monitor it and will see that it will be implemented to see the promote and protection of the human rights. So that was the idea behind the United Nations for making the unified treaty. The committee representation. What are the committee representation? UN treaty bodies are committees of experts in the relevant areas who serve in their personal capacity. And these UN treaty bodies are committees of experts and they are relevant areas who serve their personal capacity, not as a representative of their countries, but Emeritus Professor Ivan Shearer and Elizabeth Evatt, a former Chief Justice of the Family Court of Australia, are two examples of the recent Australian representatives. Even the person, those who are expert, they will be taken into consideration and their expert opinion will be made and they will incorporate in the commission report. Other UN organs and that do important human rights work. What are the other organs would be there which will do the to promote and protect the human rights? That includes number one, UN High Commissioner for the Refugees. They will also take care of the refugees and see that refugees will not be exploited, especially children and women. And number small bullet two, Commission on the Status of a Woman. And the status of a woman should be uphold. The dignity of the status of woman will not be lowered down. So that will take care of it. Number three, United Nations Development Fund for the women. For the development of the women, there would be a fund would be there. The other organs, they will also work for the human rights violations. And United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF also there, and see that the children will not be exploited by any other means. And the UNIAD also there, other organs which will promote and protect the human rights. This is nothing but a revision which I made because we already discussed this thing, promoting and protecting the human rights in the UN system. But I made a revision over here so that you could understand how human rights protection would be made. They can be made with the charter bodies and they can be made with the treaty bodies. Charter bodies is the UN organ will make it, those who are members, and they will make it of the charter bodies. But the treaty bodies, the state bodies will make the treaty and they will oblige the norms of the treaty. If any state party will violate the norms of the treaty, there will be action will be taken over there. But generally, it says there is no binding option. The at most, what they do is they eliminate that state from the treaty bodies. Yeah, that can be done, and that country will be isolated. The state party who's violated it, and that country will be isolated from the treaty if such a thing happens over there. Of course, the UN also interfere in the treaty bodies and see that they monitor it and they will see that how the treaty bodies were working on the protection and promotion of the human rights. So a watchdog would be there, but the UN agency or UN organ or a special agency or I told you the Human Rights Commission, Council, Human Rights Council, which is established by the World Human Rights Peace. At that time, it is established, and where its headquarters is in Geneva, and Geneva is, to my knowledge, it is in Switzerland. So these are the things which I want to share it. And there is one video which I made it, not I made it, I uploaded it here to see whether how it can make the things run. Where it is gone? It is here. Okay, let me check it once again. Share and share contents. Where it is here. I say share. You are protecting human rights, and as Donald Mugua, now he is coming. Why you are so much late? Because it is you have given the timings to me, and we are not attending the right time. Because the timings which is given me, it is given to me is your timings, not my timings. But still you did not. Okay, I want to see where it is gone. Window Explorer says, other explains. Promotion, production, this one. Human Rights Council, that is. Let me check it once again. Window Explorer says mail settings, share. Inbox, promotion, production, human rights. Okay, let me type it and say that we can see. Human Rights Council video. How the Human Rights Council will act on it. Occupied pedestrian, this is not the thing. No. HRC Specialist and Human Rights Council. No, this is also not. Let us see that whether it is useful to us or not. But it is not given the. No, it is not given it. The council is not given. It has gone behind it, I believe. Okay, stop sharing, then I will check it. Where it is gone. Even right, see, it is here. It is here. Now I can share it. Yes. First, let me check whether it is sound is coming or not. Share content. Yes, I have to make it a share computer. That is a must. And I don't know why it is not accepted.
Considering that accountability is currently unattainable domestically in Myanmar, the impetus must come from the international community.
genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, blatant violations of abuse of human rights law, and continuous willful violations of international humanitarian law must not continue to go unaddressed.
Yeah, that is the thing which I would like to share with you regarding the Human Rights Treaty are concerned, how the Human Rights Council at a glance will make it out. And regarding the UN Human Rights Council at a glance of 2018, just now you had it, you have seen. And then with this, I would like to, if you want to ask anything, you can ask me, but still there is a time is there. And we will see. Yes, do you want to ask anything? Because I already told you that no, we are making the revisions, and I already given the 15 questions to you, and among it, we all the framework based on the syllabus is concerned. So, do you want to say anything that you can say? If not, I will wind it up to today class now, because I don't want to deal the another topic now, because it's a revision. Yes, participant, do you want to say anything?
No, bro.
Yes?
No.
No. So I will close down today's session, and we'll see. Tomorrow we'll make it out. I make it the tomorrow last day, because 2 days I will give for your preparation.
Mungu ibariki